Good afternoon. For, in fact, the final time, I know you've seen quite a lot of me over the last couple of days. You know, those of you who are here for one of our sessions this morning may remember that Françoise from L'Equipe made a tremendously important point about sport. And the point was basically this, that no matter how much you talk about sport, no matter how much you talk about the politics and the structures around it, it all counts for nothing if there is no talent. What sport is all about is about the talent. It's the enjoyment of playing, but it's the encouragement of young people about the brilliance which excites crowds. The entire business of sport, which is, I guess, my specialist area, is built around talent. Without that, there is no business. Without talent, there is no sport, and follows, I guess. We wouldn't all be here for this conference. So it's particularly appropriate that we're going to finish this edition of the Global Sports Forum Barcelona by talking about talent, about developing talent. And we're going to look at three rather different systems of identifying, developing the talent that we will all come to enjoy in the years ahead. And this is particularly appropriate. A little later on this afternoon, we will be joined by two young athletes who will share with us their experience, their hopes, their aspirations for the future, and share with us a little bit about their experiences of coming through coaching systems, the things that have helped them, the things that have hindered them, and the things that they would have liked to be in place to perhaps have accelerated that development. So we have, as ever with this particular event, an all-star cast, and I'd like to introduce you to them one at a time. Would you, first of all, as we're in the home city of FC Barcelona, a club which is famous for so many things, but one of them being the sheer quality and the numbers, in fact, of the homegrown, home-developed talent. You may remember, I think Eric Cantona suggested yesterday that if it came to it, because of Barcelona's youth scheme, that Catalonia could possibly win the World Cup in the future. One of the people responsible for that production line of football talent is our first guest this afternoon. Would you please welcome Carlos Fulguera. Welcome, please take a seat. It's okay. Joining him on stage now is somebody who's been part of the fabric of football in Europe, and in particular the UK, for over a quarter of a century now. He's a football man through and through, whose work with the Football League in the UK, and in particular perhaps with Ipswich Town Football Club. I'm not quite sure whether it's his hometown football club. It's not a question that I've ever asked. David Sheepshank was chairman of Ipswich Town for many years and was responsible for their return to the Premier League in the early 2000s. Perhaps most importantly, while at Ipswich Town, he oversaw the development of a youth strategy and youth policy which has produced a number of players who have gone on to win international honours at various levels, including the Darren Ambrose, who scored, you may remember, a rather amazing goal for Crystal Palace, his current side, at Manchester United earlier this year, described as possibly the best goal ever scored at Old Trafford by an opponent. And anybody who helps the development of Darren Ambrose has to be a friend of mine right now. Would you welcome David Sheepshank? And the reason that David is with us today is not because of Darren Ambrose, of course. It is his role as chairman of the Football Association's National Football Centre at Burton in the English Midlands, which is due to open a little later this year. Okay, completing our trio of speakers for the first part of our session is another person from this part of the world who faces different challenges in her role, but shares the objective of our other guests today, which is the development of excellent young performers. Would you please welcome Ana Taras, the national synchronized swimming coach of Spain. Ana, hi. Please take a seat. Okay, now and to get this session underway, and just to give us some context and background, we're going to have a look at a couple of videos. So Jean-Pierre, if we could see Le Maïsa video first, please. Do we have some sound with this, please? Maybe I should just ask Carlos to talk us through or sing. Or we'll give it another couple of seconds. If we don't get some audio, we'll continue.
Sí, aquest és el dia de la inauguració de la Masia, un 20 d'octubre del 2011. Aquí estem veient els 10 o 11 jugadors del primer equip del Barça, formats al planter del Barça, a la Masia, i aquí una mica el que dèiem, no? Els Iniesta, Puyol, Xavi, Busquets, Fontàs, i aquesta és la foto una mica que dona a entendre la filosofia d'aquest club, on el primer objectiu és que el planter formi part, sempre i quan el talent i la qualitat estigui present, de la base del primer equip del Futbol Club Barcelona. Aquí veiem en Piqué, jugant a la pilota. I aquí és un moment en què els nois estan bé en un partit de futbol amb l'educadora, de manera informal. Aquesta és la casa seva, són nois vinguts d'arreu del món, on conviuen 10 mesos a l'any amb la intenció, amb la seva formació i amb el seu procés formatiu, intentar arribar el més lluny possible. I aquesta és una de les conferències, de les moltes conferències que es fan a la Masia, d'àmbit formatiu, i en aquest cas amb preguntes dels nois i respostes respecte a accions formatives que també fomentem des de la Masia. I aquest, què us he de dir d'aquest, no? El que va fer 5 gols fa poc temps, considerat, no considerat, creiem que és el millor jugador del món, i aquí estic amb en Guillermo Amor, al costat d'en Guillermo Amor, que va ser la primera promoció de la Masia l'any 1979, i aquest és un dels altres actes formatius on estic parlant amb en Santi Padró, i aquí els nois, no? Cara de felicitat. Nois amb il·lusió, nois que tenen ganes d'arribar, però com suposo que diríem avui, una cosa és tenir talent i voler triomfar, i l'altra és que tots hi fiquin allò que han de ficar per realment aconseguir-ho, no? Aquest és l'altre tema a tenir en compte. Aquest és en Take, un noi japonès d'11 anys que juga a l'Aleví. Ha vingut la família a viure del Japó aquí, i en aquest cas Ben Lederman, un noi californià que també ha vingut amb 11 anys amb la família a viure aquí. I aquest és un taller de cuina que van fer pels nois més grans de 18 anys, que també formen part del planter, i amb la Fundació Alícia de Ferran Adrià els vam ensenyar com s'ha de cuinar a casa un cop surten, en aquest cas, de la Masia. Creiem que són accions formatives que s'han de tenir en compte, i aquest és l'esclat final del dia de la inauguració de la Masia.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for stepping in at the last moment to be our voiceover specialist as well. As we said, we have 2 pieces of video for you to look at, just to give us some context, and the second, which may or may not have sound, concentrates on David Sheepshank's project. It's an incredibly important project for English football. It is the St. George's Park National Football Centre. So Jean-Pierre, if we could have a look at that video, please.
A landmark development in the history of English football will soon be unveiled. The Football Association and its long-term partners, Umbro, are putting the final stitches into the fabric that will become St George's Park. Located in the heart of England near Burton-upon-Trent, St George's Park is easily accessible and is set in 330 acres of beautifully landscaped parkland, part of the National Forest. St George's Park will be the training home of the 24 England teams and a national coach education, development and sports medicine centre for football, sport and business. It will be a bespoke sports medicine, rehabilitation and performance centre operated by Perform, part of Spire Healthcare, as well as a Hilton and Hampton by Hilton hotel. For football, England's national sport, the goal is that the courses run at St George's Park will produce better coaches and in turn better players, whilst offering facilities and services to help players, coaches and medics fulfil their potential. Apart from providing accommodation for the England teams and those taking courses at St George's Park, the hotel area will feature superb conferencing and banqueting facilities. St George's Park will provide an ideal learning environment for both sportsmen and women to hone their skills, and for sport and business to interact. Another key feature at St George's Park is the large open courtyard which divides the on-site Hilton and Hampton by Hilton hotels, which will together have 228 bedrooms. The 142-bedroom Hilton Hotel will include guest and executive rooms plus a range of suites. There's also an 86-bedroom Hampton by Hilton hotel designed to appeal to value-savvy guests to suit every budget. The hotel is seamlessly joined to the conference and banqueting centre, a real jewel in the St George's Park crown. It will contain a 500-seater conference centre which converts into a 400-seater banqueting hall. Naturally, the latest technology has been brought to bear throughout, equipping every meeting, tutorial and seminar room to high standards. Adjoining the conferencing area is an education zone, primarily for courses run by FA Learning, which can host up to 250 students at any one time. In close proximity to the hotel lies the indoor training and sports medicine complex. Measuring 60 by 40 metres, the hall has been designed with multi-sport in mind. The facilities will include a full-size indoor third-generation football pitch equipped with up to 200 standing capacity viewing gallery. Another core element of St George's Park is its 75,000 square foot Perform Sports Medicine, Rehabilitation and Performance Centre. The goal is for this complex to become the first FIFA F-Mark Centre of Medical Excellence in the UK. With its high-tech hydrotherapy suite and performance science laboratory, it will deliver clinical excellence for football, sport and the nation. Of course, much of the activity at St George's Park will take place on the site's 12 training pitches, featuring one elite Desso training pitch, an exact replica of Wembley. For years, people have talked about the need for a national centre focused on the national game. Now, the talking is over. The first ball will be kicked in late summer 2012 and herald the start of a new era. At last, a bespoke training home for football, sport and business that will truly inspire potential.
Wow. Okay, so get your money on England to win the World Cup in 2024 right now. 2022, sorry. It's good. Guys, Anna, I've got to come to you first. You were looking at that and going, wow, yourself. Let's actually start with you, and we can come back to the guys a little bit later. We've seen in the videos examples of two tremendous facilities, each in their different way, designed to produce players in a big money professional game, although obviously the football associations is to do not just with the elite squads, but with the disabled squads and the various age group men and women. But when you look at something like that and the tools that are at the disposal of these gentlemen here, and you look at your own sport and your own objectives, do you feel that you have the tools that you need? Do you have the facilities that you need to bring the best out of the young athletes that you work with?
Bé, bona tarda a tothom. En primer lloc, donar les gràcies per poder tenir l'oportunitat d'estar aquí i compartir la meva experiència amb tots vosaltres. Hauria vostè de venir al nou centre del rendiment de Sant Cugat, un nou mòdul que acabem d'estrenar, on hi ha, en aquest cas, 3 magnífiques piscines que ens han pogut o que ens han fet per poder desenvolupar la nostra tasca. Amb un esport minoritari, com és la natació sincronitzada, el que està clar és que hem hagut de tirar de veta o tirar de l'ajut de les institucions. Ha estat, en aquest cas, des de Catalunya, des del govern de Catalunya, ja en els anys 90, quan es va crear el primer centre de tecnificació d'aquest esport a la residència Blume de Barcelona, va ser el primer pas important allà on vam captar els talents que teníem amb els clubs, els hi donàvem unes eines molt més adients pels esportistes en quant a, en aquell moment, poder compaginar els estudis, l'educació obligatòria amb els entrenaments, i a més amb la gent que era de fora de Barcelona tenia l'oportunitat de poder viure. Aquest va ser el canvi més important, amb una instal·lació molt més petita però que ens va permetre el poder tirar endavant. A més, teníem aleshores el gimnàs allà mateix. Penso que el que és important és facilitar molt la tasca dels nostres esportistes, per un costat, i per l'altre, ser capaços els entrenadors de tenir una xarxa molt més important on poder anar a demanar ajuda quan tens una problemàtica o no saps prou d'una àrea, com pot ser, jo puc ser molt especialitzada en coreografia de la natació sincronitzada, però potser no tinc tots els coneixements de medicina, de fisiologia, de com millorar el rendiment de les meves esportistes perquè, per tant, que puguin adequar-se molt millor físicament a l'esforç i, per tant, sincronitzar millor, que al final serà el que em donarà la puntuació per poder guanyar en uns Jocs Olímpics. Per tant, dir que en aquest sentit, aquí a Catalunya hem estat pioners en aquest aspecte. Arrel de desenvolupar el centre de tecnificació es va poder crear, es va pujar el nivell i a partir d'aquí ja hi havia el centre del rendiment de Sant Cugat. Des de la Real Federació Espanyola de Natació es va decidir d'agafar el grup i de concentrar-lo permanentment en aquelles instal·lacions, i també ha estat un altre salt qualitatiu. Allà ens vam trobar en diferents àmbits on la biomecànica, la psicologia, la medicina, les universitats molt més a prop. Això va poder donar una visió un pèl més àmplia al que necessitava, a més de més instal·lacions, per tant, de millora qualitativa, sobretot amb el dia a dia, amb el treball del dia a dia. I per acabar, d'una piscina fantàstica que teníem descoberta de 50 metres on compartíem molts esports, tots els esports d'aigua, per dir-ho d'alguna manera, doncs hi ha hagut una aposta forta per part del govern en crear un centre on millorar encara més les instal·lacions i poder centralitzar cada esport en una piscina, i en aquest cas tenim unes magnífiques instal·lacions, no tan grans, potser ni tan maques com les que hi ha a Anglaterra, però que no deixen res d'envejar perquè tenen pinta de ser una de les més tecnificades a nivell de tot el tema de tecnologia, d'últimes tecnologies, de com poder càmeres subaquàtiques, bé, tot el que necessitem per poder millorar el rendiment diari.
Thank you for that. David, your approach to this, perhaps we should talk a little bit about, there was a facility there that has been publicly funded. St. George's Park has drawn on the business community and your supporters. It's a very, very commercial model. But it differs in that respect. But you too have taken a strategic step of going not necessarily to train young footballers there on the whole, although the teams will use it as a base. But coaching the coaches is very much at the heart of this philosophy. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about, how you came to decide on that particular approach, because it does differ from that of necessity at Barcelona.
Yes, no, I will, absolutely. The first thing I should say is that Anna said in the middle of the movie, how big is your swimming pool? And seeing as I've always loved synchronized swimming, I'm afraid our pool isn't big enough for you, which is a shame. But no, St. George's Park, I mean, the first thing to say is that England is the only major European country which hasn't had a national centre. And so we came and looked at Ciudad de Football, and we looked at Clairefontaine in France, and Coverciano in Italy, and the Sports University in Germany, Holland, and so on. But England never had one. And so we've created a model that works for England. And the first thing we had to do was to agree that we were in collaboration with our clubs, with our Premier League and the Football League and all of the different stakeholders, the referees, the managers, the coaches, the officials. And in the end, we agreed a model. So yes, St. George's Park will be the home of all the England teams. So all the 24 England teams, it's not just the senior men's and women's teams, there's a cerebral palsy team, there's a deaf and dumb team, there's a partially sighted team, and so forth. So they will all have their home. For the first time, England will have a national academy. But the second thing is that we realized we needed to invest in coaching. And we've been overtaken in some ways by the tremendous steps you've made here in Spain with La Masia, which I'm privileged to see yesterday. So we decided that if you start from the position that the player is the genius, every player is a genius, every player is different, but the coach has a defining influence on that individual. And that we as a game have invested huge amounts of money in players' wages, stadia, building academies, hardware, but we've not invested enough in coach education, proportionately, in pro rata. And so we've really made this after a lot of consultation, a lot of looking at how you do it in Spain, how you do it in France, how you do it in Germany, how everybody does it. We've tried to create a centre that will work for England, where we invest in coaching, we raise the importance of coaching as a profession. We know that our teachers, our children go to school, and a good teacher makes the boy or girl very interested, and a poor teacher the opposite. And the same with coaching in football and coaching in any sport, I'm sure. And it's not just the coaching, of course, is multidimensional these days. It's not just the tactics or the technique. It's the nutrition, it's the strength and conditioning, it's the sports psychology, it's every single dimension of creating a world-class player or athlete or swimmer. And so that's the game for us. It's to invest in coaching, but alongside it to bring sports medicine, sports science, high performance. So we have made a partnership with Spire Healthcare, and so that will be very exciting. It's the first time there has ever been a sports medicine centre of its type in England. So it's putting the coach first, because the simple philosophy is if you have better coaches, you have better players. And so it's a long-term play. Football doesn't always do long-term very well. We want immediate success, immediate. And hopefully this will be a catalyst for all of the game in England, all of the different stakeholders in the game to come together and rally round a centre that will belong to the whole country.
David, thank you. The subject that has come up from of both of our speakers so far is this idea of a holistic approach. You have an attitude and you have the facilities. It suggests that the facilities alone are not enough. And Carlos, I'd like to ask you in particular about how that works at Barcelona. It would seem that not only are you focused on producing technically excellent players, but they have to be people as well. They have to be rounded personalities who are able to accept the talents that you've developed and do the best with them.
Bé, gràcies per convidar-me, molt bona tarda. Sí, jo crec que entendre l'èxit en clau únicament d'infraestructures, de tenir bones instal·lacions, jo crec que és insuficient. És a dir, jo crec que hi ha 1.000 variables que al final acabaran fent que un model esportiu acabi quallant, acabi funcionant. És a dir, jo crec que estic d'acord amb el que s'ha dit des de la Federació Anglesa. És a dir, jo crec que els entrenadors al final són els que acaben en el dia a dia formant amb aquest procés que sempre diem que és lent, que s'ha de tenir paciència, als esportistes. I quan parlem de formar, jo ho entenc no des d'un punt de vista exclusivament tècnic. És a dir, aquest talent que es té sol tècnicament no. És a dir, tècnicament, físicament, quan estem parlant de físicament és una bona alimentació, dormir el temps suficient, bons fisioterapeutes, ficar les noves tecnologies al servei d'aquests esportistes que s'estan formant amb edats on s'ha d'anar molt en compte amb com fem les coses, però després hi ha un aspecte que és molt important i que sovint en el món de l'esport s'ha deixat de banda, que és l'aspecte emocional, l'aspecte afectiu. Com un nen viu la competició, com un nen viu la tensió, la competència amb els propis companys. I jo crec que com a club, ara per ara, no sé si és un segell distintiu amb el Barça, però sí que des de fa molt temps la resposta del club és la que crec que hem de respectar els esportistes, no sol per allò que estan fent des d'un punt de vista esportiu, sinó anar més enllà. Quan dic anar més enllà de la seva formació esportiva, estem dient que tots aquests possibles talents dels que estem parlant, tots, la majoria, no arribaran a ser esportistes professionals, ni tan sols possiblement a debutar amb el primer equip del Barça. Llavors jo crec que és una responsabilitat del club que ens encomana la Masia de que l'educació i la formació d'aquests esportistes sigui paral·lela a la seva formació esportiva. I és per aquests moments, quan jo vaig anar a fer una xerrada, una conferència amb la Federació Anglesa, amb els centres de tecnificació, on vaig dir que jo estic molt orgullós dels Messi, Xavi, Iniesta i tots aquests que debuten i que ens fan ser feliços cada 4 o 5 dies quan juguen partits. Però a nivell de club i a nivell d'identitat i a nivell de responsabilitat social com a club, el que hi hagi 12 o 13 jugadors universitaris al segon equip del Barça és aquest tret distintiu on hem acabat aconseguint que, tot i que és molt difícil, no estiguem parlant exclusivament de formació esportiva. Estem parlant de compaginar formació esportiva amb formació i amb educació, bàsicament, amb possibles sortides universitàries. Jo crec que aquest és un tret distintiu. Entendre holísticament a l'esportista, emocionalment, físicament, tècnicament, però també educativament. Jo crec que és fonamental.
Thank you. Anna, with the girls, the people that you were responsible for coaching, how do you approach that holistic issue? Because I guess you may not have the same 24/7 care of your charges as they do at Barcelona, but dealing with young athletes at a very sensitive time of their lives, dealing with kids who are, and older athletes who are ambitious, but not all of whom can make it. What's the most difficult part of the work that you do? Is it the fitness work, or is it actually dealing with the psychology of developing talent?
Sí, a mi m'agradaria, primer de tot, realçar el que has dit el David. Penso que en tots aquests processos l'entrenador té un paper importantíssim, que probablement tots els programes amb millors entrenadors, amb unes instal·lacions o unes altres, els resultats serien probablement molt similars. O sigui, estem parlant de superar el rendiment per tenir millors resultats, però que el fet que la persona que està davant d'aquests talents o possibles talents sigui una persona que tingui experiència, que sàpiga que tingui un equip de treball amb el que es pugui recolzar per atacar tots aquells problemes que tenim, penso que com a entrenadora i com a responsable d'un grup és el més important. Perquè, com ja ha dit el Carles, la part més difícil és l'emocional. és relativament fàcil desenvolupar un bíceps, fer aixecar una cama o fer tirar una pilota. El que és difícil és que quan aquests nanos estan entre les edats, diríem que les noies encara més, tenim pics de pressions o de dubtes, que serien quan entrem a la pubertat, 14-16 anys, després quan hem d'entrar a la universitat, 18-20, i després a partir dels 20 anys són quan arriben a mi i els tenim en el centre del rendiment i aleshores són gent universitària que sap el que vol, que com tots tenim alts i baixos, però que el que és difícil és com gestionar el dia a dia d'aquestes persones quan són persones normals i corrents amb els problemes que tenim tots, a més que en el cas de la sincro han d'entrenar 8 hores diàries, o tirar-se a l'aigua amb remull i ser capaços de fer aquestes acrobàcies que fan i poder gestionar tot això amb el creixement físic, amb el creixement psicològic, amb poder afrontar-se o no a quina tria faig personal, estudi, esport, sobretot amb esports com els nostres, on no hi ha un rendiment econòmic, doncs es fa molt difícil, perquè gràcies a Déu la sincro, que és un esport que té resultats, doncs en aquest cas, gràcies a les ajudes que tenim del Consejo Superior de Deportes, amb totes les subvencions, juntament amb les beques ADO, que en aquest cas seria el diner que cobren les nostres noies, això és el que fa que els nostres esportistes puguin seguir endavant. O sigui, la detecció de talent la podem fer de molt jove, l'experiència ens diu que no sempre el talent arriba, no sempre el talent físic arriba, sinó que la majoria de vegades la persona amb una mica de menys habilitats, però amb el cap una mica més ben centrat i amb les idees molt més clares, amb un entorn familiar que els ajudi, arriba més lluny. O sigui, és capaç de triar més, és capaç de tenir aquella paciència, és capaç de discernir el que em convé ara, el que no convé ara, el tenir pressa o no el tenir pressa. O sigui, en aquest cas l'entorn és molt important amb la decisió, però sí que jo diria que part de l'èxit de la sincro en aquest cas ha estat unes beques ADO, que ha permès beques ADO, beques ajuda a l'esportista, ajuda al deportista olímpico. Són uns diners de l'empresa privada gestionada per al Comitè Olímpic i el Consejo Superior de Deportes, on, segons els resultats que els esportistes treuen en els diferents campionats, tant siguin del món, Jocs Olímpics o Campionat d'Europa, doncs reben un premi per aquests resultats. Doncs amb esports com els nostres, on l'única font d'ingrés ve d'aquí, és importantíssim i és indispensable, perquè clar, les noies deixen de fer una vida normal. Jo també tinc molta gent universitària, però es viu la universitat i s'aprèn d'una manera molt diferent, jo diria a vegades sense tocar realment de peus a terra, o sigui, tant la Masia com el centre anglès, com el CAR de Sant Cugat, com tots aquests centres no deixen de ser una petita microsocietat no real, on tenim l'hotel allà al costat, el menjador 2 minuts, l'institut a mig minut, on tenim un metge que si ens fa mal la cama ens atén en el minut 0. Això no és la realitat. La realitat és que tu has d'anar, si tens la privada, doncs truques i et donen hora al cap d'un mes i si és a la pública al cap d'un any. Per tant, sí que és veritat que hem d'ensenyar aquests esportistes que tenim a viure una realitat que no sempre és la que es trobaran en centres de tant èlit.
Can I come in there?
I thought you might like to, yes.
No, because I think it's very interesting. St. George's is about, and I'm sure your centre is the same, is trying to create an environment where people, sportsmen and women, footballers, men and women, can fulfil their potential to the maximum. And so it's trying to create, buildings are fantastic, but it's the people in them who will make it happen. The coach educators, the coaches, all of the support staff, the nutritionists, the scientists, the doctors. And so it's creating an environment where people will want to learn. And I think that's the thing, is creating career pathways where people want to go on learning. You can't tell, old-fashioned coaching was barking on the side of the touchline and telling this player to go there and there and there. We have to create a a new culture where players are decision makers for themselves. You talk to our athletes, you talk to Usain Bolt. I don't mean he's only a world champion because he decided he wanted to be a world champion. And behind every world champion or every champion team, there is always a great coach. But it's a double act. And I think that's the point. So we feel that we can create this environment where we can take away as much of the interference as possible. All of the gremlins, whether it's, are you worried about your family or whatever you are, you go there and you concentrate on your football or your sport, and you concentrate on your learning. And the acid test for us, when we do open, and we're due to open at the end of the summer, the acid test will be if people feel the sense of stimulation and inspiration when they are there, and that when they have left, they have learned something. Because it will only work if St. George's Park is somewhere that people want to keep coming back to. Because every time they come there, they feel that they learn something, and they leave with a sense of personal improvement and ownership of their career. So that's the philosophy of what we're trying to do. And we definitely have to think how we build a synchronized swimming pool in phase 2.
David, I think it might be worth
do it.
it might be worth mentioning here also that your focus is not just on there is a real world angle in terms of the focus on broader education that St. George's Park will be a
yes, very much. We've started. We've signed partnerships with the local further education college, Burton and South Derbyshire College. We've signed a partnership with Liverpool University, and where we will run the first football MBA together with Liverpool University. And there will be others. We took a leaf out of golf, professional golf in England 7-8 years ago. You now can't become a golf pro to run the pro at a club unless you do a foundation degree between the Belfry and Birmingham University. Now, we are not saying it will be mandatory for every coach to have a degree. I don't say that. But we have to give the opportunity and create career pathways. The younger generation are hungry to learn. So it shouldn't just be 5 qualifications, UEFA 1 to 5. There should be more courses, more modules in analysis, in finance made easy for coaches, or media training, or personal one-to-one coaching. How do you get the best out of an individual? All of these modules that we think we can run. So we create this bastion, this sort of hub of learning. And what's really exciting is that in England, in football, we've tended to be a little bit insular, like racehorse with blinkers sometimes, and we don't look at other sports, like your sport. And so we've spoken with all the big sports in England and many of the minor sports, and they are really excited. They have their own centres, but they want to share best practice with us. Cross-pollination of ideas, and whether it's in coach education or high performance, how, as Stephen Redgrave said, what are we all here for? I always love this line. He said, how do we make the boat go faster? and that's what it's about. We're in pursuit of excellence, in pursuit of high performance, and we can learn from each other in sport.
Great, David. Thank you. We're just going to invite some additional guests to join us on stage now, because this is really what we're here to talk about. As we said, we're delighted to welcome to the Global Sports Forum 2 young athletes. They're both at different stages in their development, and to join us to talk a little bit about their own development, their own coaching. Would you welcome, first of all, Eric Nabe. Eric. Please come and take a seat. Eric is a sprinter from Switzerland who's got his eyes firmly fixed on London 2012. I should remember that as I live there. Okay. And also joining us now, Laura Jardi. Laura is a skier from here in Catalonia. Laura, you're very welcome. Please take a seat. I just called you Eric, didn't I? It's Cedric. Cedric. No. Thank you for pointing that out, David. There's always one. Guys, let's start with you, Cedric. Very, very exciting time for you, I imagine. You're still working on qualification in the individual, your individual disciplines for London 2012. What are your expectations?
Well, at the moment, with the relay, the 4x1, we already qualify. So right now, I'm trying to focus a little bit more on my individual event, which is the 100 meter. So I have to run 10:24 to qualify. And the period to qualify starts in mid-May until early July. So right now, I'm really in intense training while I'm working still. And I'm really thankful that my company, Deloitte, is giving me the time that I need to train, to go on training camps, and to really fine-tune my training.
How did you discover your talent, and what was the importance of coaches in your development so far? Were your coaches through school? Were they into clubs? How supportive did you find the system that's got you to where you are right now?
Well, I was playing soccer for 12 years, and I was studying in high school in France. And my physical educator, which was not a specialist in athletics, thought that, I should try to do the French school championship. I did it, I won it, and then I got into the club support. So I joined a club in France, and then I joined the Switzerland national team, qualified for World Junior Championship, and then this is where I really started to see that track was something that I really wanted to pursue. And then I got offered a full scholarship to attend Florida State University in the States. So that's really when everything really started. I was able to pursue an education and to train every day to be one of the best athletes. So.
Now, we know a little about, I guess, about the system in the US for developing collegiate athletes. Given what you've heard both from David and from Carlos here, how did your experience in the US, in terms of the intensity of training, the facilities that are available to you, how different or how similar was it perhaps to the experience that a young footballer here in Barcelona might expect?
I'm not really familiar with the soccer experience. I know one of my cousins used to play for Paris Saint-Germain, and he was part of the formation center there, at Clermont, I'm not sure the name, but from what I heard from him, it's definitely a bit of a different experience. With me, it was really a balance between education and sports. I was not just training full-time. I was actually, working towards getting a degree, which I'm really thankful that I was able to do, because the big problem with a lot of athletes is they're not able to have a backup plan instead of, they don't make it to the pros or they don't land a major contract. And I was really able to manage to get a good education. And then afterwards to land a really good job with Deloitte, which is still today allow me to train. So yeah, I would say that in the US there's still a very strong emphasis on education. And I think that's maybe what's lacking a little bit here in Europe, which I haven't really seen a lot of structure where you can really get a good education and train full-time at the same time.
Thank you for that for now. Lara, let's talk about you and your career. What is your next big goal in sport? And perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about the disciplines in skiing that you specialize in as well.
Hola, buenas tardes. Bueno, el año que viene hay mundiales y mi objetivo es ir. Se supone que voy a ir, pero como salgo de una lesión, todavía no sé si voy a estar preparada, pero bueno, espero que sí. Voy a empezar la pretemporada en mayo y espero llegar en forma para los mundiales que serán en febrero. Además tengo el Mundial Junior, que es mi último año junior, entonces soy de la categoría más mayor y espero hacer medalla en el Mundial Junior. Después ya vendrán las Olimpiadas, a las que también espero ir, pero bueno, primero me tengo que concentrar en los mundiales. Yo estoy especializada en descenso, hay 4 especialidades en el esquí, por si no lo sabéis. El descenso es la que se va más rápido, es casi bastante recto y hay saltos en medio y a mí es la que más me gusta. No soy para nada especialista en slalom, pero las otras 3 las practico y también me gustan mucho.
Sure, and what has your coaching experience been? How were you discovered? How was your talent discovered, and how was that developed over the years?
Bueno, mis padres se conocieron en Vaqueira y se compraron una casa allí. Entonces empezamos a ir y claro, me llevaron a un club y me gustaba muchísimo, además era muy competitiva y empecé a ir cada vez más y luego ya a los 6 años empecé a ir a esquiar ya a los Alpes en verano y todo, me gustaba mucho y bueno, fui siguiendo y ya a los 8 años ya tenía clarísimo que quería ser esquiadora. Los entrenadores son muy importantes, sobre todo cuando eres pequeño, porque en el esquí además pasamos muchísimo tiempo con ellos, porque yo no vuelvo, por ejemplo, me voy 3 meses y luego vuelvo una semana, luego me voy un mes y no veo a nadie más. Estoy en un hotel con mis entrenadores y cada vez cambiando de país y pasas muchísimo tiempo con ellos. Si tienes mala relación es que es imposible. Entonces, y bueno, aprendes muchísimo, es que paso mucho más tiempo con mis entrenadores que con mis padres. Al final yo casi les considero como mis padres. Es una, no sé, tenemos como mucho afecto.
And if you could change, you've obviously been very successful to get as far as you have. If you could change one thing or introduce one thing to your coaching regime over the years that you think you would have enjoyed, would have made life better, made you perhaps an even better skier than you are, what would it be?
Bueno, ahora tengo unos entrenadores que son increíbles, que son italianos y tal, y ellos tienen más experiencia y más formación. Entonces me gustaría, si pudiese, cambiar la primera época en España, porque perdemos un poco de tiempo, porque no hay tanto nivel aquí de entrenadores y no sé, me gustaría haber empezado a esquiar en otro país con esos técnicos y ya está, aparte de eso nada.
Okay, so it makes another case for bringing expertise from all over the world together and working that way. Eric, the same for you. You've been through, as you say, a number of systems. You played you played soccer. What do you think, looking back, would have made a significant difference to maybe the speed of your development, or possibly even ultimately performance at this stage?
I think. One thing that really I was struggling with, and a lot of my fellow athletes talked to me about, was after university. When you leave the system where you're surrounded with coaches, mental coaches, sport medicine specialists, this is where it became really difficult. Like, you know, I was like a little baby. You know, I had everybody taking care of all my needs. I didn't need to worry about anything. And once I left the school system, and I didn't manage to land a huge contract, then I was a bit left on my own. You know, I was living outside of Switzerland, still in the US, working for Deloitte, and there it was a bit difficult. There wasn't much support, you know, at that level for me to really reach the next level.
Which is something which has come out in all of our conversations, Carles. That's you're very, very aware of that issue. Because am I right in thinking that the number that I saw was that of something like 600 kids that have gone through your system, around 10% have progressed through to the team at Barcelona. I guess that some have made it elsewhere, but there's still a lot of kids who need that need support to go and do other things, to help them with the rest of their lives.
Sí, jo estic totalment d'acord amb el que ha dit el Cèdric, no? És a dir, la història més important jo crec que és que quan estàs vivint en un entorn on sigui un centre de tecnificació, sigui un club on té els mitjans necessaris perquè se't faci el dia a dia més fàcil, hi ha molts cops que pervertim aquest sistema, no? Fins al punt que després, quan surten d'aquest sistema, es troben desemparats, no? Es troben com dir, hosti, he aterrat a la vida real, no? I això és dur. Dit això, una mica el que s'ha anat dient aquí, no? És a dir, del 100% de nois que han passat per la Masia, que amb 14 o 15 o 13 anys se'ls ha dit que són molt bons, que tenen facultats i tenen talent per arribar, la primera perversió és aquesta. És a dir, estem creant unes expectatives d'èxit amb nois on el procés s'està iniciant. Per tant, és difícil saber com acabarà aquest procés. Per tant, la primera perversió és aquesta. Si el noi davant d'aquest procés de què bo que ets no s'incorpora aquest valor que jo sempre dic que és molt important, que és el valor de la humilitat, de creure que jo puc aprendre, tot i que m'han dit que soc molt bo i tot i que destaco, he de tenir capacitat suficient com per tenir la modèstia i la humilitat per dir, he de tenir aquesta capacitat de superar. I després, com molt bé hem dit aquí, hi ha d'haver un pla B a la vida. Llavors jo crec que la tasca més important, fonamental que tenim des de la Masia i que és el nostre raó de ser, és fer entendre a tots els nois que passen per la Masia, i és molt difícil dir el primer dia que arriben de dir el més probable per estadístiques que no arribis, és molt dur gestionar aquest fracàs el primer dia que arriben, però crec que s'ha de dir, és que hi ha d'haver un pla B. I aquest pla B passa perquè prenguin consciència de la dificultat amb la competència d'arribar. I segon, si alguna cosa et pot donar aquest pla B és la formació. La gran avantatge que tenim nosaltres respecte a la natació sincronitzada, fins i tot a l'atletisme i amb esports, on el grau de duresa i d'hores d'entrenament és molt menor amb el futbol, és que hem d'intentar permetre i hem d'intentar generar acords amb diferents institucions esportives, universitats, acadèmiques, que puguin permetre aquest pla B. Jo prioritzo la formació esportiva, que és pel que he vingut, però no amb exclusivitat. L'ha de fer compatible amb l'altra formació. I després, i per acabar, perquè si no, si m'ho deixo, jo crec que el gran hàndicap molts cops de la formació esportiva, i ho dic aquí, que no se m'enfadi ningú, molts cops són les famílies, els pares. El fet dels pares de jugar molts cops a creure que l'èxit és un resultat immediat. És a dir, amb una bona entrenadora, no, és a dir, és més llarg que això, no? Llavors, jo crec que hi ha dos valors. Un és la paciència, el procés de dir, amb l'ajut dels entrenadors, entrenadores, amb l'ajut dels fisioterapeutes, sabent com és el noi i com es comporta en tots els àmbits d'actuació, a l'escola, al menjador de la Masia, a l'espai de reforç escolar, a la universitat, és a dir, entendrem més clarament quina és la personalitat d'aquest esportista, perquè com molt bé he dit abans l'Anna, és a dir, mentre estem parlant de talent, però mentre hi hagin esportistes que sense tant talent hagin estat capaços de triomfar amb el món esportiu de màxim nivell, vol dir que l'aspecte personalitat, caràcter, entendre molt clarament que les emocions, el ser educat des del punt de vista de conèixer les meves possibilitats, però també les meves limitacions, què és allò que he de fer i què és allò que he d'evitar de fer. Jo crec que tots aquests aspectes en el procés formatiu les hem de tenir sempre presents.
Okay, thank you, David.
Yes, no, this is a really fascinating subject because I think we're leading into mentality and, in football certainly, and I think some other sports, when we recruit players, we tend to recruit them for their skills and then wonder why sometimes the mentality isn't right. And, in the business world, they would think we were absolutely mad, because in the business world, you do psychometric tests and you check out the mentality of the person before you take them, and then you invest in their skill set. And we do it in football and many sports the other way around. So I think, it's creating that, it's assessing mentality. You do it very well, and I was yesterday, at your training ground, and talking about the first thing is when you find a player, it's recruiting the right player, and it's recruiting the player for the skill, but it's also for the head, for the mentality, for the attitude, for how hungry they are in their career. Because the problem I think we've had certainly in English football, and maybe other countries is less probably. But we've developed a lot of young players. We've made them very rich. They become very rich in the middle. Alex Ferguson, and then sometimes the mentality isn't what you all hope. Alex Ferguson, Sir Alex said, he'd never met, many years ago, he said he'd never met a player yet who couldn't improve, whether they were 15, 25 or 35. Why was David Beckham one of the greatest dead ball kickers in the world? Because he practiced every day, every day, every day, every day. But it's finding that mentality and that positive perseverance and, the mentality where it's not about excuses. You create an environment at Barca where every player will have every possible bit of support they can have. But at the end of the day, if they're going to make it, it's their decision. And I think, you know, we have a lot of work to do in sport. There's a lot of development to come. People are terrified of sports psychology. Most of the managers and coaches hate it. You know, they see themselves as the psychologists themselves. And, but it's creating, I think, a lot of work needs to be done and will be done over the next few years in improving how we measure the mentality and how we encourage the positive personal responsibility. So that would be I'm very excited what you're doing in your club. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
That's excellent. I've just been handed a note that says that I'm dead meat if we don't finish very, very quickly. But we can't let this go without, I think, giving Anna the last word. Anna will have to be brief, I'm afraid, but we've heard so much on a massive subject in the last 40 minutes or so about a holistic approach, about providing facilities for coaching coaches, about the actions of young athletes and some of the things that perhaps would have helped them earlier in their career and in later development. The focus of our conference is what next. I'd like to ask you the question, in an ideal world, what next would help you to deliver a better service, to create more stars of the future in your own sport?
Diria que el que necessitaria ara seria una mica més de recursos aplicats a la prevenció directa o a l'atenció directa cap a l'esportista. Crec que amb sincro i amb esports minoritaris on no hi ha una atenció o una focalització tan gran com el que estem veient als casos privats del futbol, perquè tant a Sant Jordi com la Masia són exemples d'empresa privada al servei de l'esport. La majoria d'esportistes, els atletes, estan a menys o depenent directament dels governs. Per tant, diria que tenim l'assignatura pendent de què fem després que un atleta, que un esportista ha donat tota la seva vida i surt d'aquest ambient i què els hi passa, com els reinsertem una altra vegada a la societat real, quan no han estat capaços els nostres esports de tenir una butxaca o una compte bancària suficientment gran per poder-se no fer res més i viure de l'aire. Penso que és una assignatura molt pendent perquè sí que és veritat que tenim tot això, però el preu que paguen aquests esportistes per poder donar medalles al país és molt alt. És, jo diria, una vida personal molt poc organitzada, molt ordenada, però no hi ha pares, no hi ha uns estudis ordenats, no hi ha una vivència social que els formi. Els surten, per exemple, en el cas de la sincro, ara amb 20 i molts anys i amb 30 anys es presenten en un món laboral on no els hi és en aquests moments totalment favorable. Per tant, potser en aquest cas, una vegada tenim les eines, tenim els entrenadors, tenim tot l'equip humà que necessitem per poder atendre, hem de pensar què seran aquests esportistes el dia després.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for that. Time is against us. We have a couple of speakers who are coming on there, but thank you so much for your input on a subject which we could have run an entire conference on, and maybe we will at some time in the future. More importantly, to you two, to Cedric, to Laura, good luck in London. I hope the qualification goes well, and great luck at the games themselves. Laura, good luck with the rest of your career and your championship next year. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please thank our guest? That was tremendous. And now, at the conclusion of that, I would just like to announce that the next person to take the stage will be the Commissioner of the Global Sports Forum, Barcelona, Monsieur Lucien Boyer.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having been with us until now. I think we've had a great 2.5 days of learnings, listening, sharing, and a lot of meetings. I hope that as much as I did, you made a lot of new friends from all over the world, and that you will leave Barcelona tonight or tomorrow with a lot to take out and a lot of inspiration. I think that this last session was very much about everything we want to achieve in this forum, which is really to transmit and bring the sports to the next level for the future generation, but also for our own future. And I think that as far as I'm concerned, I've been totally thrilled by all the speeches and the conversation that went on this very stage. So I'd like to make, first of all, I would like to pay tribute to our gold and community trophy winner, Colombianitos, and yesterday we missed a video, so you have not been able to see the remarkable work they do. So I would like to show you this video before we conclude this forum. Can we have the video, please? Thank you.
A mí sí me gustaría apadrinar un buen adulto. Le haría un peluche, una carta y una fiesta. Yo lo llevaría fuera de Colombia, a San Francisco y a Bucaramanga. Un padrino es que se casa con la padrina y la padrina le da para el kit escolar y todo eso. Yo le enseñaría a jugar partido y no le enseñaría nada más para cambiarle la vida. A mí me hice motas.
So it's time now to say thank you. And I would like to thank the City Hall of Barcelona, and that's a real trust they gave to us for the last 3 editions and until now. So that's a really strong honor for us to be welcomed by the City Hall of Barcelona. But before the City Hall gives the last word, let me give another bunch of thank you. I would like to thank the speakers. We have had 52 speakers that gave us a great moment of their knowledge and experience, and they took a lot of their time coming from all over the world to be with us, so they've been really remarkable. The moderators, Alan, Kevin, Stefano, and all the others that helped to prepare those sessions. Of course, the organization, Amaya Bloch-Lenné and all her team, I will not be able to name everyone, but you should be proud of you. It's a good work. The partners, without which we would never do anything, media as well. We had 250 journalists, and I would really thank them for the great reporting they made of our sessions. And you, the delegates, you've been more than 1,200 people coming to this 2.5 days from 46 countries. And I think it's a great symbol of the globalization of the forum. And we've been joined by more than 3,000 people yesterday, and I don't have the figures of today, which viewed the videos live stream of the sessions. So the Global Sports Forum Barcelona is expanding, bringing more insights and more information and experience of great and remarkable speakers to the rest of the world. So stay connected, because this is not finished. As you know, the digital community is on. There are a lot of things happening on our website and Facebook and Twitter. So you're invited to be a community member. And I would like to say to you, see you next year. And now I will leave the floor to Mrs. Cristina Iniesta, the head of the health department of the City Hall of Barcelona, to conclude. Thank you very much.
Aquí parlo. Doncs aquí parlo. Bona tarda a tothom. Senyor Lucien Boyer, president de Havas, senyor Adolfo Rodés, Chief Executive Officer de Havas, autoritats, ponents, moderadors, delegats i delegades que heu participat en el Global Sport Forum en aquests darrers 3 dies que ha durat el Congrés. Senyores i senyors, amics i amigues, anem a donar per acabada aquesta edició del Global Sport Forums. En primer lloc, permeti'ns que els donem les gràcies a tots els que heu participat. Agraïment a Havas, als sponsors, a les empreses i als mitjans de comunicació. Senyors, la tinent alcalde, la senyora Maite Fandos, els demana disculpes perquè per un problema de salut no greu avui no els ha pogut acompanyar i m'ha demanat que els faci arribar les seves paraules. Els he de dir que soc la delegada de Salut de l'Ajuntament de Barcelona i és un honor per mi estar amb tots vostès. Formo part de la tinència alcaldia que realment està vetllant per la qualitat de les persones, la salut i els esports. Per tant, és un honor acompanyar-los. It's a pleasure for us to know that delegates, it's the conference, the speakers, as well as the moderators, and also all the media have enjoyed the very interesting debates about the sports. C'est pour nous un grand honneur que de savoir que les délégués de la conférence, les speakers ainsi que les modérateurs et aussi les mass media on a trouvé intéressant et ont profité des débats à propos des esports. Sens dubte, aquest Global Sport Forum ha estat un èxit, perquè entre tots vostès han aconseguit els objectius que des de Barcelona i des de la mateixa organització ens havíem plantejat, compartir i difondre les idees que us dediqueu a l'esport, teniu en relació al joc en si mateix, el negoci de l'esport i l'impacte de l'esport en la societat. La tinent alcalde m'ha fet arribar i que els digués que ha gaudit d'algunes de les sessions que s'hi han celebrat, de totes les aportacions dels diferents ponents, inclús dels moderadors. Han estat molt innovadores, interessants i cadascú de vostès podrà recollir bona part d'aquestes impressions per poder continuar treballant al futur amb optimisme i esportivitat, cosa que segur que estaran ben segurs que ens importa, ens interessa a tots. L'edició d'enguany ha estat sincerament profitosa per poder parlar com l'esport afecta a la societat. Està canviant contínuament i apareixen noves modalitats de pràctica esportiva molt interessants per als joves i adolescents de les nostres ciutats. L'esport encara té un llarg recorregut entre les dones, malgrat que hi ha hagut un avenç molt important. Tal com va dir el nostre alcalde, el senyor Xavier Trias, els abonats i abonades als clubs esportius de la ciutat són un 50% d'homes i un 50% de dones. Hem de seguir apostant per les generacions més joves, no només en els esports emergents, tal com deia, sinó com també amb la pràctica de qualsevol modalitat de l'esport. Aquell jove que s'apunti avui en un club de qualsevol ciutat pot ser en un futur un campió. De com l'esport, a més de negoci i entreteniment, també és l'excusa perfecta per empènyer projectes i experiències altruistes. Un bon exemple va ser el que el president del Club de Futbol Barcelona, el senyor Sandro Rossell, va explicar a tots i a totes aquí. I finalment, de com l'esport i la gestió esportiva han de ser sostenibles, han de ser eficients i rígides pel sentit comú. Per exemple, les candidatures i sobretot les d'uns Jocs Olímpics que han de ser excel·lents oportunitats, no només de projecció del món, sinó també de revisar i accelerar projectes i infraestructures per a una ciutat i per a un territori. Aquesta és la voluntat de Barcelona, en apropar el mar i la muntanya del Pirineu, en el seu projecte d'acollir els Jocs Olímpics i Paralímpics d'hivern de l'any 2022. Totes aquestes idees han estat hem après, hem compartit i hem debatut. Durant aquests dies estem convençuts que ens serviran per continuar treballant pel futur del món, de l'esport, tant a nivell local com internacional, ja sigui des de la vessant de l'administració pública, la que ens pertany, com també des del sector privat i els mitjans de comunicació. La voluntat de ser d'aquest fòrum esportiu internacional és la no només d'escoltar i de debatre les experiències que vivim en el món de l'esport, sinó de trobar-nos en un espai comú, compartint aquestes vivències, tal com heu pogut fer vostès a les pauses entre les sessions, en el sopar d'ahir i tots els espais dels networkings. Des de Barcelona, a més de voler continuar aportant la nostra experiència en l'organització d'esdeveniments esportius i en la política de la gestió esportiva, també volem continuar amb aquest fòrum de debat per continuar treballant junts per l'esport i pels esportistes. Recordeu a tots vostès que els amants de l'esport sempre seran benvinguts a casa nostra, a Barcelona, la capital de Catalunya i la seu de la Mediterrània. Moltes gràcies a tothom. Disculpin que la tinent alcalde no ha pogut estar. Els hi faig arribar la seva salutació. Thank you very much and merci pour a tothom.